Hello, everyone. I wanted to go over the NHL play-in round for if it comes back from the current pandemic. They have this new format with 24 teams making it, and so I wanted to go over the matchups for the first play-in round. We can ignore these second round matchups because those are going to be reseeded. So we're just focusing on this first set of matchups here. So starting with the Eastern Conference, we have the Pittsburgh Penguins versus the Montreal Canadiens. I think Montreal really likes this format because they were in 12th place, and this allows them to have a chance at getting through to the Cup. But they have a tough task ahead of them. They have to go up against the Penguins, which is really tough to bet against Crosby and Malkin. But if anyone could do it, it's Carey Price. With that said, though, the Penguins do have a veteran to play for in Patrick Marleau, who I'd love to see win the Cup. But on the other hand, Montreal is one of my favorite teams, so it's tough to say. I do think this one's going to go the full 5 games for these matchup rounds. And in the end, I think the Penguins will take it. Next, we have the Hurricanes versus the Rangers. This one again, much like Montreal, the Rangers have a goalie who could steal the games for them in Henrik Lundqvist. That is, if they are going to use Lundqvist. But the Hurricanes tend to always do well when they make the playoffs. They always seem to make it to the conference final, it seems like. However, they don't have a Game 7 for Justin Williams to take over. But I don't think that's going to matter, and I think they'll end up winning this in 4 games. Next, we have the Islanders versus the Panthers. And this is really a matchup of offense versus defense. The Islanders have incredible defense, but they lack in scoring, whereas the Panthers seem to struggle with keeping the puck out of their net, but they make up for it by scoring a lot. If Sergei Bobrovsky ends up playing the way he was signed to, I think the Panthers will win. But if he's struggling and is around a 900 or lower save percentage, then they won't be able to beat the Islanders. I will say that the Panthers take this in 5 games, though. Then lastly for the East, we have the Maple Leafs versus the Blue Jackets. The Maple Leafs have the offense, and the Blue Jackets just tend to work really well as a team and outwork their opponents. And the break has allowed a lot of the injuries they had to recover. And last year, we know the Blue Jackets were able to upset the high-flying offense of the Lightning. However, I don't think this is nearly as strong of a Blue Jackets team as they had last year. And I think the Maple Leafs offense is going to be too much for the rookie goaltenders that the Blue Jackets have. And I think the Maple Leafs will come in hot and win this in a sweep in 3 games. On to the Western Conference. First matchup is the Edmonton Oilers versus the Chicago Blackhawks. This is a fun matchup. Kind of reminds me of the Oilers going up against the Islanders in the 80s. Kind of the Blackhawks are the last dynasty, and the Oilers are the young, new kids on the block, kind of. But I don't know who has the advantage here. I think the Blackhawks veterans are going to show up and play really well. But the Oilers have McDavid and Draisaitl to lead the offense. And I think it really comes down to who they end up going with in goal. Throughout the season, Koskinen was the better statistic goalie, but Mike Smith, I felt like, stole games for the Oilers more frequently. And historically, he's been very good in the playoffs. I think if they go with Smith, the Oilers win it, and I think it'll take the whole 5 games for them to do that. Then we have the Predators versus Coyotes. The Predators have had on and off struggles throughout the year. Sometimes they seem like a powerhouse, and then they just kind of lose it for a while. Throughout the whole season, it was like that. And the Coyotes, they were really good with Kemper in goal, but without him, they were just kind of okay. So I think it'll come down to if Kemper can steal the games for the Coyotes, they'll win. But if the Predators' offense shows up, they'll win. And I tend to lean more towards the Predators winning it in, I'll say, 4 games. Then we got the Canucks versus the Wild. And this one's interesting because the Canucks were struggling at the end of the year, so the break might have saved them from falling out of the playoffs. Whereas the Wild were really hot towards the end of the season. So I'm not really sure who to go with here, but I think the Wild's veterans will show up, whereas I'm less certain if the Canucks young guys will really show up for the playoffs, and I'm still not fully sold on Markstrom. I know he's been very good all season, but I'm not sure if he'll show up for the playoffs. So I'm going to say the Wild in 4. And then lastly, we have the Flames and Jets. I think the Jets, you're going to get a consistent showing from them. They're going to play good no matter what. The Flames, there's a lot of ifs with them. I'm not really certain. Their goaltending, I don't know if they go with Riddick or Talbot. I feel like Riddick, when he was hot, was much better than Talbot, but he had times where he completely seemed to cost the team. And Talbot was pretty okay, but he didn't really steal games for the team either. And then, on top of that, the Flames' offense last year in the playoffs didn't show up. In particular, Johnny Gaudreau. And so that kind of worries me if he would show up or not. And with that said, I'm going to say the Jets, but I think it's going to take all 5 games. So that's my predictions. Let's just go quickly over them again. We got Penguins in 5, Hurricanes in 4, Panthers in 5, Maple Leafs in 3, Oilers in 5, Predators in 4, Wild in 4, and Jets in 5. So that's all of them. Let's hope that the playoffs do come back. There's always more time where things could change. When they get back into training, a player could get injured, and that could completely throw off my predictions. But as of right now, that's how I see them going. Thanks for watching.